flashback and talk about 2 years ago when you all took Happiest Minds public. What was that pivot like to go from being a private company to being a public one? And what have the last 2 years been like?
When Ashok, he set up the company,
Yeah.
his vision was to always go public.
Yeah.
And we had set a timeline for that as well.
Yeah.
And we did go public within that timeline. So having set up a company with the intention to go public, from day one, we had designed all processes, systems internally, and were preparing to be a public company.
Yeah.
Ashok, for him, this is a third public company.
Right.
For me, this is a second. And most of the other people in the management have been part of public companies. People say that life changes once you become public.
Doesn't it?
There is a part of it which changes. That's there. But largely, with respect to governance controls,
Yeah.
we have taken money from investors from day one.
Right.
Employees have been our investors.
Yeah.
We call them Happiest Minds. We don't
Yeah.
call them employees.
Yeah.
They have put in their hard-earned money into
Sure.
the company. So for me, color of money is green. It's the same wherever it comes from. And my fiduciary responsibility,
Don't change.
Don't
between
change.
Whether it's a private company
or a public company. Retail investor today is very, very knowledgeable. In fact, we are happy to have close to 7 lakh retail investors. So this number was 1,50,000 when we went public, and today it's 7 lakhs.
How much has your life changed after listing? You know, you talked about what it costs today to set up a store. Earlier, you wouldn't have thrown a figure out like that if you didn't need to. Today, everything is up for scrutiny. Every number, every decision, every bit of money spent. How does that affect your working? Give me a peek into what life after listing is like.
So from an operating performance level, nothing has changed, Anuradha. I think my personal belief, and that's the belief in the organization, that if we run a great business with great people, with great governance, that's the way to go. Finally, valuations are an outcome of all of these three things. So from an operating cadence perspective, there's nothing changed.
Sure.
There was incredible scrutiny on our numbers because we had 5 private equity investors. So in any case, we were used to that scrutiny of numbers. Today, just our investor base is much larger. That's it. I think what has changed is the pride that our employees feel in Sapphire Foods. 6 years ago, people were joining because of me. Today, they join because of what Sapphire Foods means to them. They are owners in the organization. So last year, before the IPO, we rolled out ESOPs to 1,000 people, including our restaurant general managers.
When you listed, the price was seen to be too high.
Yes,
in fact, when you did list, the price was below the offer price. Of course, it's higher than the offer price as we record this in at the end of May, June. But did that bother you?
Of course, absolutely. And like I'm telling you, it was because it was a reflection of us, and somebody told us, they warned us, like, look, this may happen in the stock market. So, make sure that as far as you're concerned, you've taken the right steps for the business and be confident in that. And I think that's really what kept us going. Did we do right by the company or didn't we? And then is the price fair or not? And it's okay, let the market then will keep going up and down, so long as we're doing the right things for the company from a long-term perspective.
But is it so easy?
To be very honest with you, when the first day, right, that we listed, we had kept a big family lunch, and like we do on an Eid day, And it's so funny because the children were all on Moneycontrol checking the price. Now it's this, mom, now it's gone up, now it's gone down, and or Nana or us. And I think for the first week, it was like, my God, everyone in the family was tracking the price till we calmed. I think we really calmed down after the first quarter results. And we said, it's okay. After this, now, now I may look at it once in a day rather than every hour on the hour. And I think with time, so long as we continue doing the right thing, I think that's what's going to matter, and that's what the public has to appreciate us for. We're not here for a quick turnaround. We're not here to do things in the short term that will harm us in the long term. And I think till the public understands that, we'll continue to seeing volatility. but it doesn't bother us honestly as much as it did in that. I'm telling you, all the kids now know money control.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell my friends now, if I had to go back and do it, there's so many things I would have done differently.
Like what?
But
Pick one.
I think in terms of, you know, how you look at public perception, how you build a persona for a brand, and what is the messaging that you want to give out. And people tell you that at that time, but you don't realize the value till, you know, much later. And honestly, those were the small changes. I don't think we would have changed the pricing in hindsight as well. Maybe if you asked me a day after, maybe my answer would have been different.
But today,
today,
6-7 months later,
absolutely,
you
yeah.
feel that you've done the right thing.
I think we've done the right thing.
The offer price, I think you've said at about 1,101 rupees,
1100, yeah.
1100 rupees, was less than what you thought it should have been valued at. I want to understand your logic here, because both these decisions are coming from the same place.
Actually, we were having it was not my own perception, but we had the markets were very good that time, and we had a lot of pressure from our selling investors to significantly increase the price. There were talks of taking it up as high as 2,000 rupees. And at that point of time, we could have done it, because at 1100 rupees, you know, we got oversubscribed 150 times. Even at 2000 rupees, we would have easily sold the IPO. But my personal belief was we were not doing the IPO for the short term, right? This was a new journey that we were starting with a completely new set of shareholders. And if you go back to our history, even my earliest investors in 2000, right, my angel investors, who are still with the company,
individuals,
who are individuals,
friends and people you know,
who are individuals who have still not sold shares in the company and still very active in the company after 22 years. We've always been very focused on trying to derive value for our investors and those who take faith in us to our best extent possible, right? We have the best intent and best effort that we can make, and from that perspective, I thought that overpricing the issue because we can just didn't make sense. And I honestly really fought back on that, saying that it's 1100 or I'm not doing the issue.
It's been a year and a half since Indigo Paints listed, since you went public. What has the last year been like, and how substantially has life changed, you would say?
Managing investor relationships. It didn't exist earlier. We had only one investor, Sequoia Capital.
Yes.
Now there are dozens of existing investors and potential investors. So engaging with them becomes one added responsibility that did not exist earlier. I think one has to be a little more mindful of what one says in the public space, because there is much more limelight on you. I remember our earlier board of directors meetings, they were all only about discussing business strategy.
And
now 50% of the time is on corporate governance, which the independent directors naturally are mindful of, and they should be, and that's the role that they perform. I think one also has to be a lot more careful about sharing of information, even with our own team. Previously, at the end of every month, we shared every little detail with our entire team of at least 70-80 people across the company. Now we can't do that. It would be illegal. So we have to be sensitive about sharing of, unpublished, price-sensitive information. So those are some of the restrictions that come on. Otherwise, it hasn't changed very much. And the reasons are that we already had a very major A-class investor on our board for 7 years in form of Sequoia.
2014, right?
2014 is when they invested, and concurrent on their investment, Ernst & Young came on as an auditor. So between Sequoia and Ernst & Young, all issues of a growing mid-sized company, in terms of governance, compliance, aligning your accounting standards and disclosures to international norms, all that had happened way before the IPO happened. So all that was already a part of our DNA.
Give us a sense of how much life has changed in the past year, because it's almost exactly a year that you took Dodla Dairy public.
Life has changed to a bit of extent that I travel to Bombay more often than usual as to meet up with investors and keep people updated.
Sure.
But coming from a fundamental things of operations or the way we go ahead, it's not been much of a change, because we've always lived our life. I'm talking of way back from '98 with investors, private equity investors along the way, We have changed into three private equity investors. We had a large guy like IFC coming in.
Yeah.
So I think major issues in terms of what operationally or whatever we look at, it has already been set as a tone and rhythm. It's the only thing that now we're dealing with another community of a larger number of investors. That is which we are doing. And that's been the basic change. And also, I guess, regulation-wise, there is a lot more of regulation that now we have to do in terms of filing. And keeping
Compliance, all the regulatory
and,
compliance that you need to do is
so,
the new
is the new norm
Yeah.
of on time.
Yeah.
And also now it becomes a race now, right? So it's that
Yes.
looking forward of the quarterly to quarterly animal, which I hope that we, being a younger company, now are giving more sense of what we're going to do. But I think as the days go by and people see us for a little longer term, they will really appreciate for what we stand and who we are and take a much longer term view of us.